Good morning, Olive Branch. This is TJ Cates. I'm here with somebody everybody knows. Introduce yourself in case they don't.
I'm Mark Gardner, District 2 DeSoto County Supervisor.
And you're also the president right
I am
now.
the
Let's talk
president
about
of the
that.
board this year. Well, we rotate that around every year, and this is just my year to do that. Michael Lee, Supervisor Michael Lee, 5th District Supervisor, is the vice president of the board. Not a lot of difference, except you run the meetings and you get to stay after the meeting and sign a lot of documents.
Yeah, well, that's important that they have you. Now, how long have you been serving as supervisor?
This is my 10th year.
Wow.
My
So you've
10th
seen
year.
a
I'm
lot
in
of
my third term.
changes in 10 years.
I have. We are so blessed in DeSoto County with the growth that we have. You know, people, you're in real estate, you hear it all the time. People move here for two reasons. It's safe. We got good law enforcement.
We do.
And schools are great, and the taxes are low. So we hear it all the time, and we're just blessed in DeSoto County.
Let's talk about the other board members of the board supervisors and what districts that they're in.
Okay, our longest serving member in Olive Branch is Jesse Medlin.
We're just talking about him with Sam.
Supervisor Medlin is, I guess you could call him the godfather of the Board of Supervisors. I think he's going on 29 or 30 years on the board, and Jesse loves serving the people in the east side of the county. District 2, my district covers about half of the city of Olive Branch and about half of the city of South Haven. In fact, most of my district is in the incorporated cities. I've got a little bit of unincorporated area out around Pleasant Hill Road, but a lot of my constituents live in Olive Branch, live in South Haven. District 3, our newest member of the board, who's just finished his first year, Ray Dennison.
Yeah, really good guy.
He took the place of Bill Russell.
Oh, okay.
And Ray, I told him yesterday, I said, well, you've got a year under your belt, you're no longer the new kid.
Has it been a year already?
It's been a year.
That? Wow, that was a quick year.
So Ray's been representing District 3. Supervisor Lee Caldwell, she's our token female on the board.
She's amazing. The first female to ever be elected in DeSoto County.
She is, and to serve as president of the board. It was so funny when we go to the Mississippi Association of Supervisors, we'd get on the elevator and somebody say, "Is your husband a supervisor?"
Oh, no.
And she'd say, "Well, no, I am." I said, "Yeah, you ought to get y'all one of those."
Oh, my goodness.
And we would have fun with that. But she is, she loves DeSoto County like the rest of us. She serves the people of District 4, which covers a little piece of South Haven, a piece of Horn Lake, and all the way out to the Tunica County line through Eudora and Nesbitt and all that. And then Supervisor District 5 is Michael Lee, the vice president of the board.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the Hernando area, and quite honestly, a lot of the growth of DeSoto County, as you know, is in the Lewisburg area.
It really
which puts most of it, and again, it's driven by school district. And a lot of people are building in District 5. There's probably not a meeting that we have. We meet regular meetings twice a month. Now we're going to have an extra meeting this month. Our meetings usually last all day. Typically, we approve 2 or 3 or 4 new subdivisions every meeting,
Isn't that great?
which is just fascinating. I asked our planning department guys yesterday, said, did we hit our number?
Yeah.
And they did. There were over 1,500 new houses built in DeSoto County in 2020.
And you work with my nephew in the county building, Austin Cardosi.
Austin Cardosi in the planning department.
He's so smart.
He and Benny do a fabulous job. They are a great tag team. And just to keep up with the volume of what they do, they're both very smart. I guess that runs in the family.
No, Austin's on my sister's side.
Okay.
But he is. He's really wonderful. Man, I just think the teamwork, and Andrea Fries is there at the county, and I think the world of her. I knew her from back in the chamber days.
Andrea's our chief bean counter.
Yeah, she's a tough one.
And she does a fabulous
job.
job.
I love that I know people in the county and all the supervisors. I think the world of all 5 of them, including yourself, and everything you do. And I was so glad because I was speaking to Sam Reichert, who's our executive producer at OBTV Live. I said, I really want to have
Mayor Sam, the weatherman.
Mayor Sam at weathermayor.com.
At weathermayor.com.
But I was anxious to get you here to talk to people in Olive Branch because I want them to understand that you're here for them. And I was glad to know that your district goes all the way to what, 78?
It goes to 78 Highway. That's the Eastover subdivision. It comes down, hits Goodman Road, goes down Craft Road, kind of cuts the golf course in half at Craft Road, and goes back across College Road. All the way over to Greenbrook Parkway, and if you know where that is.
Well, that's my parents have been for 40 years.
In South Haven, and so it's a in this year it's a good time to talk about. Hope everyone participated in the census last year.
Yeah.
You know, every 10 years we do a census, and I remember I wasn't on the board yet when the 2010 census occurred, but they about a year later you get the data. So this year we should get the data, which causes us to do redistricting. The federal voter one man one vote act causes us to redistrict, because what you're supposed to do is equalize the districts. I think I've actually got more people in my district because it's so compacted in the cities now. So geographically, my district may get a little bit smaller, but I'll have the same number of people by population, where like Supervisor Michael Lee's district, where there's been a lot of growth, it'll probably get a little bit geographically smaller because there's been a lot of new subdivisions in there, and the ones that have less growth would make it a little bit bigger. But that's how we divide. Same way here in the city, where the mayor and the board of aldermen reproportion the voters. We get what we call block data from the Census Bureau, and we actually narrow it down to a block.
Yeah.
You know, there's 87 people live in this block, so we'll put them in this district, or the city in their case, we'll put them in this ward. And so that's how, and that'll happen this year.
What's your basic communication like? How can citizens contact you, and what would they contact you for? Because I think being over so much in the city, where are the lines where they should call Olive Branch or they should call you?
Well, they can email me. My email address is on the county website. We've got a new public information officer at the county, Christy Barkley. She does a great job keeping up our social media, like Facebook and our website. We're kind of revamping our website right now, make it look a little bit better, make it a little bit more mobile friendly with the mobile devices.
You have to have your mobile version and your standard computer version.
A lot of people don't understand that.
When you build a website, that's something I do also.
When it's real cumbersome on your phone, that means it was set up for a desktop.
Exactly.
And so Christy's working on that, so you can reach
job.
out through Facebook. You can email me. My cell phone number is listed on the county's website. I get calls all hours of the day or night, 901-238-1600.
Yeah.
And you can call me. And
what would they call you for? Like, what reason would someone call their supervisor versus an alderman?
You know, probably in the city, if they do call me, I'll take their call, and then I may turn around and call their respective aldermen, you know, like Pat Hamilton or someone. You know, a lot of my area overlaps with hers. Yeah. And or I'll call whomever and say, can we work together on this? And we have worked together, particularly stormwater drainage problems. We don't really maintain city streets.
Right.
But I may get a call about a pothole or, you know, a road problem. You know, I get all kinds of calls.
I can only imagine.
Sort of like a traffic cop, you know, I'll just try to send them in the right direction. It may be a problem with water or sewer that the county has nothing to do with, but I'll try to get them in touch with the right people. Tax issues. By the way, you're in real estate. From January 1, which was, you know, just recently, till March the 30th. People can file their homestead exemption, and that's real important. If you have never filed, if you live in that house, if you own it and occupy it on January 1, you can file a homestead exemption, and you can get a discount on your taxes from the state of Mississippi from now forward. And then if you're over 65 or disabled, you can even get a greater discount.
Right.
And it's real important to get those homesteads filed between now and the end of March.
And the purpose is that if somebody actually owns a home and is occupying it.
Own it and occupy. If you own rental property, obviously you can't homestead that one, but you can the one you lived in on January 1st.
The question came up from someone this morning, how often do you file for homestead exemption?
You only have to do it once unless you have a life status change.
Unless
if you have a divorce, a death of a spouse, or you reach that age of 65, or you become disabled, only then would you have to go change. You go down to the county administration building on the square, on the first floor. You go to our tax assessor's office, Mr. Jeff Fitch, and you go in there. They're so nice in there. They'll help you. You're in and out of there in 5 minutes.
Well, this year we have, just to jump subjects, this year we're going to come back to roads because I want to talk to you about that and the growth and how you're getting ahead of that. But just as far as like voting, where can people register to vote? Because this November is going to be a really big November for us.
Well, you can vote. You can register to vote online. You can print it out. You can go to Miss Dale Kelly Thompson's website, who is our circuit in Mississippi. The office at the county that's in charge of voter registration is the circuit court clerk's office, and Miss Dale Thompson has been our court clerk for a long time. And so you can print out that application and you can mail it in. You can drop it by her office.
Okay.
You can also do it at any of the city halls. They will take at Olive Branch City Hall, South Haven City Hall, Hernando, Horn Lake. They'll take voter registration as well.
It sounds like the elections are already gearing up so early already. I've noticed.
Well, and you have to be registered 30 days before the election, and that was a big push. Last year before the presidential election, we got city elections coming up in April of this year, and so you have to be registered 30 days before that.
That's gonna be interesting to watch all of it.
Yeah.
Come up. And when does your election come back up? You have
Well,
2 more years, right?
I'm starting my 10th year on the board. We're starting the second year of a 4-year term.
Okay.
And so I've 3 more years before.
So the pressure's off for a minute.
Pressure's off. Well, the pressure's never off, but we'll be up in a couple more years. You'll start hearing us shaking the bushes a little bit. Right now, we're just kind of.
You shake the bushes all the time.
We're kind of taking a back seat to the city elections.
I know.
People are gearing up to run for mayor or alderman.
What I like about you, man, is not that our families have been friends for years, but the fact that you're not just a politician that pops in whenever it's election time. You stay out there in front and you stay communicating. You're constantly communicating with everybody.
Well, I've always been involved in the community, and I got that from my mom and dad.
Yeah,
my dad was a volunteer fireman, reserve deputy sheriff, the choir director at our church.
Wow.
So I was was real involved in the community, and I came by that naturally.
Yeah.
And then as I got a little bit older, I joined the volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
Went to EMT school. I was actually the volunteer EMS director for South Haven for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to get Mayor Joe Cates to fire me.
Oh,
I
no.
said, come on, Joe, it's outgrown me.
Not if you're working there.
And not as long as I was willing to do it for free. So I walked in one day and I handed him a letter. I said, Mayor, here's my 30 days notice. And he said, you're going to force the issue, aren't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you've been telling me for a couple of years. And that was as South Haven was growing. We had outgrown volunteer ambulance, volunteer EMS.
Whitworth, I think, was our first volunteer station.
Yeah, and now we've got, I think there's 13 paramedic ambulances in DeSoto County right now. And people like me and Sam Riker that used to volunteer.
I'm still a volunteer.
On these ambulances, we are so proud to see what it's become. From what we were, back in my day, I'd get the ambulance at 6 o'clock at night because I had a day job.
Yeah.
And at 6 o'clock at night, I'd take the ambulance home and park it in my driveway. And if we got a call, I'd go out and get it, and I'd come back home, go back to bed. Then I may go out again, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning, I took it to the day crew.
Oh wow!
And that's how we did. That's how most of the volunteer.
You have to do your day job, and you have to do that now. I know that there's a lot of calls.
I was a little bit younger then.
Well,
we're
still young.
I could get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning and make a call and still make it on my day job. I don't know that I could do that today.
I don't know. I was doing a fundraiser for the Walls Fire Department this weekend, and I ended up cooking everything at Mom and Dad's.
Thank you for doing that.
I'm glad
you cooked some barbecue, didn't you?
I cooked a couple 100 pounds of barbecue, and Mom and Dad went to sleep, and my dad said, well, it's raining, and it's windy, and it's dark. And I said, I'll go up under. So I had all my dad's smokers and my smokers in the backyard, and we did it, and we raised a lot of good money for the Walls Fire Department, and I like doing the volunteer part of it, but that's something I've always admired of you, is that you stay really connected with everybody. Now, you are in real estate also.
I am. I'm a real estate. I'm a managing broker at Bill Sexton Realty and Appraisals. That's my day job. That's the one that pays Bill. Bill's been doing this in the county and been my good buddy now for 40 years.
And he's still in his 30s.
Yeah, he likes you to believe that. But Bill's been doing it for a long time. And I retired, as you know, from the cable TV. I was the cable guy for a long time. And I retired from the cable business after about 27 years.
It's changed.
And I got my real estate license. And, I could have never ran for public office in the cable business because the demands of the job didn't give you the flexibility. At one time, I had 400 people reporting to me.
Goodness gracious.
And so it was a big people management job. Real estate, as you know, I can take a real estate call or a text or answer a question or even write a contract on my iPad if I need to from wherever I am. And so it gives me the flexibility to do that, and I'm grateful to Bill for bringing me in, and I enjoy that. But it gave me the flexibility to do something that I always wanted to do, and that was serve on the board of supervisors. I went to the meetings for years and years and years, and when I was running, I didn't miss a meeting for 2 years. Just went just to take notes and look at the minutes and
I think it's
look at the
important
budget.
to see how it goes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is, and I learned a lot to prepare me for my seat just by attending under the previous board.
Now, as far as I know, you're the only real estate agent that's serving as a supervisor. How do you use that knowledge that you have to help you as a supervisor?
You know, it's a neat thing we have. We have a neat dynamic.
Because I feel like you're getting ahead of the curve a little bit for development.
Well, Ray Dennison is a builder.
Yeah, I know.
So he brings an element to the table.
Okay.
I have a telecommunications background and a real estate background, so I bring an element to the table. Michael Lee is a small business owner, but he was also in law enforcement in this county for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I like that guy a lot.
And so Lee Caldwell, of course, everyone knows, was an educator. Worked in the school system at school central office for a lot of years. And then Jesse's a small businessman. He's a farmer. I mean, he raises cows and hay and has had a successful small business. So we all bring a little different dynamic, and I'm going to defer to Lee Caldwell when we're talking about educational issues because that's her background. I'm going to defer to Michael Lee when we're talking about law enforcement issues because we all bring different background and knowledge. It is good.
It's better than just having standard professional politicians that have been doing that, ever since law school.
We're not politicians. We're public servants.
Exactly. And man, I'm telling you, there's a difference because I've been around big cities and I've seen the way they do it. But I love the fact that you got a home builder and an educator and a law enforcement and a cattle farmer that's smart enough to grow his own hay.
Yeah,
and not go out and buy
absolutely.
it. So I think it's cool.
Well, and even a more interesting dynamic you may not know, Jesse's been involved with the county for 30 years. Our insurance is very complicated. But Jesse understands our insurance better than any of us because he's been dealing with, through different carriers, not only our group insurance, health insurance for our employees, but our liability, our workers' comp, and all that. We've got 42 buildings that we carry insurance on that the county owns, and about 670 employees that we provide group health insurance to. So it becomes very complex, and Jesse has studied that. Other things, it's not real sexy, but a solid waste. Man, when we get to talking about tonnage of trash, and now we offer recycle out in the county.
That's what I was going to bring up in a little bit about recycle. We recycle.
Man, we are so excited, and I will credit Supervisor Jesse Medlin and former Supervisor Bill Russell. They worked on that for years. It was a passion of Bill Russell to bring recycling to DeSoto County. And now we've got curbside recycling. You can get a 96-gallon trash cart. You can get a 96-gallon recycle cart. It's what they call single stream recycling, where you don't have to separate your plastic and your paper and your aluminum cans. All we ask is that you wash them out and make sure they're clean in there.
Especially in the summertime, man, it's so important.
And they get recycled. I mean, at my house, we actually probably fill up the recycle can before we do the trash can.
That's exactly the truth, and you don't realize how much you recycle until you begin recycling.
Yeah,
and the cans and the plastics and the jugs. We go like 3 cases of the 32 count bottled water at my house.
Well,
we drink a lot of water.
And because my can was full, after Christmas and everything, I'm saving that recycle cardboard. We got a lot of cardboard boxes.
We have Amazon account.
We got a lot of grandkids and these cars and bicycles and stuff. So we're gonna recycle all that cardboard over the next couple of weeks.
I think it's great y'all doing that. And I understand that at the old Star Landing dump, I guess, the landfill. When I graduated, I'll tell you about our story. Bill McCammon and I went to Panama City after we graduated in '82, and we came back, and his
daddy used to be my fire chief.
His dad, they're actually, I helped them with the refinance this week through my Apex Mortgage. They're such good people. But I grew up with them, and they were 3 houses down. And my dad came and woke me up. He said, "Do you have a job?" I'm like, "I just got back from Panama City." He said, "Be at the barn tomorrow." Joe Cates was supervisor back then.
Yeah.
So I rode on the trash truck, and I just picked up everything that people have the crane now. I was the crane.
Wow.
And we pulled a chipper, and Bill McCammon was running flag on the street crew. And I think they gave us that job.
That built integrity, you know?
It built, dude, we're talking about May and June of 1982. It was 100
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah.
But I liked it. It was social. But we both did that for a little while. And then we found jobs that were a little bit easier. But, yeah, I like the history, and I like how you're so connected.
Speaking of my friend Joe Cates,
Yeah.
God rest his soul, but I think probably the only man that served as a mayor,
Yep.
a supervisor, and a justice court judge.
He was.
He served in all 3 offices.
Yeah.
So
He was-
and he could tell some stories, couldn't he?
Man, he would tell some stories that'd make you laugh. And his brother Buck was so much like him. You get those 2 little brothers together, and it was
Well, I miss my
crazy.
buddy.
Yeah.
I'll see him again someday.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. Okay, let's talk about the growth that we're doing in the county, because it's not just out in the county anymore. I like what you're doing with Holly Springs Road. There's 305. There's a new school going in down there. And I just used I-69 this morning to go from South Haven.
It's a game
Had to
changer,
go
isn't
South
it?
Haven to Walls, and then I came back to Olive
It's a
Branch.
game changer.
I jumped off on Fog because I like driving in the country in the
Yeah.
morning.
It's a game changer.
Y'all are so far ahead of the game.
We are blessed with the growth. Again, we said earlier, because people want to move here, because of low crime, because of good schools, because of low taxes. We haven't had a county tax increase, millage increase in DeSoto County in 18 years. I have now voted on 9 budgets in a row without a tax increase.
That's
Now, there's
amazing.
not many counties anywhere that can say that. And it costs more to run county government every year. Every year we like to give our employees a raise. Every year the cost of asphalt may go up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Every year other diesel trucks and dump trucks and all that may go up. So it costs a little more. But the growth, as long as we continue to realize this growth that we're having, we built 1,500 new houses last year in DeSoto County. And to put that in perspective, that's 1,500 houses that were there on December 31st that they weren't there on January 1st. And so you figure the average house pays $2,500 a year
Yeah.
in taxes. Do the math. And so we're blessed with that growth. And then you got Jim Flanagan at the DeSoto Economic Council,
Yeah.
bringing in new businesses and new industry and new warehouse. Got some great new industry coming into South Haven and Olive Branch. And I mean, good jobs, laboratory
They were
medical,
very good jobs.
laboratory medical type jobs and things of that nature. So, when you take a piece of farmland and then and it's paying this low agricultural tax rate, and then a year later, Williams-Sonoma's got a 1 million square
Yeah.
foot warehouse on it with 400 jobs. It's a game changer, and so the growth in the tax base compensates for the increased costs. And somebody said, I'm not going to be like George Bush and say, "Read my lips, no new taxes."
Yeah.
But I think I would cut all kinds of expenses before I would raise taxes, but there's no need to in the county because of the growth that we have.
Right.
And we're blessed.
And I think we've got a blank canvas out there.
We do. And 269, you mentioned it a while ago, it's a game changer. You can get from Craft Road, Lewisburg School, to Two-Lane Road in Nesbit in about 12 minutes.
Who would have dreamed that 20, 30 years ago?
I know it, and not hit a stoplight.
Not hit a stoplight.
And so that's a game changer. And then there's all that land. You talk about a blank canvas. We've rezoned a few of the corners of 269 interchanges, like 269 and Lauder, 269 and 301.
Lauder's really taken off secretly.
269 and 305. But with all those exits, they're all going to go commercial at some point. Because you think about it as you travel, you drive on 55 from South Haven to Jackson, around every interchange is commercial, and so that's what 269 is going to look like. So it's our job to make sure it's smart growth.
Yeah.
We've already heard from people, well, we don't want a truck stop. Okay, but probably would make sense to have a truck stop.
You're going to have a truck stop.
It would make sense because you think about it, when you travel, there's one about every 25 or 30 miles. The closest one on 55 and 69 is in Senatobia. Now we've got one over here at Bethel at Hacks Cross Road and 78, but that's on or I-22. That's on a different interstate.
Yeah.
And so we'll probably have that. Somebody said, "Well, we don't want a campground." I said, "Well, we've got a campground at Church Road exit, and there's probably going to be one somewhere along there." And I said, "By the way, have you ever stayed in a campground?" They said, "No." I said, "Well, you meet the nicest people."
You can meet Sam Riker.
Yeah, you meet nice people in a campground.
I know, but some people just have these fears, and then they watch what happens in Memphis, and then they're concerned that that's going to happen down here. And nobody wants it close to them, but then there's always somebody that does, and that's got to be a tough thing for you to please every single person, because everybody's got a different interest that they want to be part of.
Well, Lee Caldwell coined a phrase. She calls it the Magnolia Curtain.
Okay.
And people say, "Well, we moved out here for the peace and quiet." Say, "Yeah, so did we." "Well, we moved out here to be in the country." Say, "Yeah, so did we." But it's not like after you got here, we closed the Magnolia Curtain and we don't let anyone else in.
Right.
Because for the same reason you moved out here, I moved out here, everybody moved out here, other people want to, and we can't shut the door.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, the last one in, shut the door. No, so hence those 1,500 new houses a year that we're building. That's 1,500 new families. Yeah. Because if you think about it, people buy their house in South Haven and move to Hernando, or they sell their house in South Haven, move to Hernando, or vice versa, or move to Olive Branch. That's just people switching houses.
It's always
but there's 1,500 brand new houses, which is 1,500 more families moving to the county. So
what's the average days on the market right now?
Oh gosh,
is it more than 7?
It's less than 7.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal experience is, list a house and in 24, 48 hours have multiple offers, and they're competing.
I'm curious about this, and this has more to do with your real estate background and your broker. I didn't realize you were the broker for Bill. Let's say that you get a house, let's say $100,000. I know there's not a $100,000 house out there for the most part. But let's just say that somebody offers 105,000, so they're offering 5,000 over. As an appraiser, you're not automatically going to appraise that house.
If you're doing a finance, the house has to appraise.
Correct.
But in such a competitive market, I'm seeing crazy things on contracts. I'm sure you have too, where I'll get an offer on a house and say, buyer will pay up to $2,000 above appraised value if appraised value is below contract price. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen that on a contract. Yeah. They know, because some of these people have missed out on 5 or 6 multiple offers, and they're getting frustrated. Yeah. So they're even willing to pay above the appraisal. Now the appraisals are going up. You know, houses that were appraising 5 years ago for $90 a square foot are appraising for $120.
I've seen some that are 100. We showed Vernon one recently. Okay, so I would imagine that they have to put, we're going to get into a whole different show, but I would imagine they would have to prove cash on hand to be able to make up the difference.
They do.
So
I mean, you know, financial statements, bank statements.
Does like the cost to build with construction, you know, materials going up, does that affect the appraisal? Are y'all giving credit for that? Existing houses?
Yes, you know, as you know, there's 3 approaches to value on appraisals, and one is the cost approach, what it costs to build something, which is taken into account. But the market approach comes into play more often than any. Okay. And the market approach is, what did a similar house near you sell for? Yeah. What did it bring? But they keep inching up and inching up and inching up, and just you mentioned it. My daughter and son-in-law are building a house right now, and they got caught in that crunch where the lumber prices went way up, and several $1,000s more just to frame that house than what it was going to cost when they sat down and did the estimate. So
I would encourage everybody that's watching to go and buy a house in DeSoto County. Don't wait. And we do have FHA, and there's a new FHA grant, which is 100% financing.
You know, it's an interesting market, and like I said, Bill Sexton's been doing a lot longer than I have, but he says, I've never seen a market like this, because it's unique in that supply and demand. Right. You know, there's a low supply, so houses are going quick and they're bringing top dollar. but the incredibly low interest rate. You said you were helping someone with a refinance. Several of my clients are going through refinance right now, because if you can drop a interest rate from 4% to 2.6%, why wouldn't you?
And cash out the equity as people's home
And so
values are
to
going
that
up.
degree, that makes it somewhat, so it's the best of both worlds. You've got low interest rates, so that's kind of lends itself to a buyer's market, but high prices and low inventory.
I think it's great, and I think it all funnels from the wonderful supervisors and the mayors and the aldermen. You all have a master plan, and the home values are going up. But where are we getting these people from?
You're very kind in that, but
I think it's a master plan.
we just have much to be. You know, you mentioned Benny Hopkins and Austin Cardosi. Those are our experts. Those guys have the degrees in planning, and they look at these things and they study them and they make recommendations to us. So, you know, to be successful,
I think it's one big
to
team.
be successful, you surround yourself with good people.
I agree with that.
And that's what you mentioned, Andrea Fraze, Vanessa Lynchard. You know, the people on our team are absolutely top notch, and they love this county and they're smart. So they make us look smart.
I think that they're all put together for the right time, and we're at the right time right now. Man, you got to come back. We have so many things to talk about, but I appreciate what you're doing for us in DeSoto County, and appreciate everybody that's on the same team.
Well, thanks for having me. Like I
it's
said,
exciting to grow up here and then to know the growth that
we
we're
are blessed.
experiencing.
As you said, our families go back in the 80s and 90s when I had a barbecue team. I'd call up old Terrell Cates up on Brooks Road and go to Cates Meat Market, and we would have some fun at Memphis in May and South Haven Spring Fest and all those barbecue contests. Speaking of South Haven Spring Fest, the mayor and aldermen there have gotten it out of the mud now. We used to call it the Mud Fest.
Yeah.
It's all paved out there for the barbecue teams.
It always rained during Spring Fest.
You can set your clock by it. So, but it's been a pleasure.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, Mark Gardner. Appreciate it. This has been TJ Cates with Good Morning Olive Branch, here with
Mark Gardner, DeSoto County Supervisor, District 2.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.